Have you ever wanted to be one of those people that turns into a room and everybody heads turn, they look at them and everyone is mesmerized with them? You wonder, must be their lips, must be their beauty. I wish I had a butt like that. I wish I had that weight. I wish I was like her or like him. You think that is beauty. But that is not. That is glamour magic, one of the oldest and most misunderstood spell and power in human history, the art of becoming the illusion that everyone wants to see. Do you want to learn how to do it so you can become your most beautiful and magnetic self and change perhaps even your physical appearance? Nothing in my book is impossible, and in today's video we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about glamour magic. Hello everybody, my name is Neya, and yes, I am a witch. I'm Italian. I've been practicing witchcraft, esotericism, and manifestation for so long. And if you guys want a service with me, including my mini course on how to put a spell on someone, everything is in the description box, including my Patreon community where we have a community, a chat with me, and one extra video a week. We have the membership here on YouTube for Q&A and lives. We have coaching down there. We have more courses, psychic readings, and more. Everything is found in the description box. But now, let's get started with today's video. Today, we are going to learn not just to become magnetic, but to put a glam, a spell, on your physical appearance through your frequency so you can become the person aesthetically and more that you want to be. Because as I said, for me, nothing is impossible. I've tried it all, and so far, everything worked. So let's get started. In Scottish folklore, to cast a glamour meant to bend perception. In fact, witches in the old time were said to want to appear as divine beings, fae beings, in order to hide amongst mortals. In mythology, Morgan Le Fay, she enchanted people through her own will, and Circe, or Circe in ancient Greek, she allured not through force, but through the power of her subconscious mind. The secret, especially back then, wasn't mirror or makeup, but it was the ancient art of the power of the subconscious mind, therefore, beliefs. They mastered, in fact, the most powerful magic that it's ever existed and the most misunderstood, the power to bend reality through self-image. The word glamour, in fact, means illusion, a trick of the eye, but every illusion comes through the mind. Even nowadays, when we hear like keeping up with the Kardashians is the first thing that comes into mind, but many celebrities, they just will go and say, oh, I'm just putting in a glam, we're doing glam. That is not a coincidence. Like I said, it's more than just mirrors and makeup or even plastic surgery. Those things, if you want to do them, obviously I'm putting makeup on myself, are merely tools to shift your subconscious mind to believe in a certain self-concept, but is deeper than just mirrors and makeup or even plastic surgery. Because like I said, every illusions come from the mind. So glamour means illusion. So the glamour that you're putting on to people, the perceptions that others have of you starts with the mind. In fact, when you change or shift actually your internal frequency, people's perceptions change before you can even speak. Because perception not only is prediction, but perception is energy translated through attention. Let's repeat it together. Comment down below. Perception is nothing but energy translated through attention. And attention is the currency of this matrix. It is not money. It is not necessarily your thoughts. It is your frequency. Attention is whatever you focus upon that becomes your state of consciousness. So we can say that your state of consciousness or attention is the money of the matrix, is the currency to create your own reality. In fact, modern neuroscience agrees with what witches knew a long time ago. Your mind doesn't understand the difference between what is actually happening in reality and what is happening only through the imagination. If you want to know more about this, in my mini course on how to put a mind spell, a love spell, the mini course in and of itself explains through neuroscience, even though I'm not a neuroscientist, but I've studied a little bit about it, explains through mysticism, spirituality, and neuroscience how this exactly works, and backs it up with 2 meditations that you have to do for 30 days in order to see effect in your reality. Like I said, the link is in the description box if you guys are interested more into diving a little bit deeper into that. And my formula course dives even deeper into that because it's got the replay of the webinar, The Science Behind Manifestation. Little more parenthesis, but long story short, we know that neuroscience agrees with the old witches and glamour magic that your brain doesn't really understand the difference between what is happening in the so-called reality and what is just happening in imagination. When you assume the identity that you want, in this particular instance, you assume you're calm, radiant, beautiful, or perhaps that you have some physical attributes. I don't know, a bigger butt, a better lips, a better nose. I've even seen people changing the color of their eyes just through perceptions, changing the perception and the identity that they had about themselves. So when you do that, when you shift that internal identity, your world meets you halfway and reacts to that new inner frequency that you have changed. Or when you change your self-concept as beautiful and radiant and you identify with this, that also your body changes through even micro expression, your face softens, you actually become more radiant, and most importantly, you start broadcasting safety and calm. And that's what people perceive. People just don't perceive your looks, they perceive your overall energy, which in spiritual term we can even call the auric field, which extends throughout your body. Psychologists call this the Pygmalion effect. Basically, people mirror the perception that you have of yourself as truth. Neville Goddard used to talk about this and called it the law of assumption. You become what you persistently imagine yourself to be. Either you call it the Pygmalion effect or you call it law of assumption. Practically, you're doing this every day, unconsciously. Now we want to learn how to do this consciously so you can maneuver and command reality at your will, which is what witches and even male witches like Crowley have said for the longest time. In fact, to somebody like Crowley, despite I don't particularly like everything in his philosophy, he taught the power of the will, which is exactly this, is to change and command or bend reality through your will, which is the most powerful force that you have, or someone like Joseph Murphy will say, the power of your subconscious mind. We are talking about the same thing, explained differently for different audiences. In short, what is glamour magic? Glamour magic is nothing but self-concept made visible. But now let's talk about a practical exercise on how to class the glamour and see this effect in your reality. Now we're not going to do this exercise together, so take a pen or a pencil and a paper if you want to write it down, because this is an exercise that you have to do in front of the mirror every day when you wake up. So you are going to wake up in the morning and you're going to go in the mirror. You can even do this while you're putting makeup, washing yourself, whenever you prefer, but I highly suggest to do this in the morning as your subconscious mind is more open, fresh for the day, and you're setting new intention. Now your mirror becomes in that moment and every day from this day onward, becomes your altar. You don't look at the mirror to judge, you look at the mirror to command. Again, you don't look at the mirror to judge yourself and to criticize yourself, you look at the mirror to program. Just by shifting that intention in and of itself, the mirror becomes your best friend. Now, stand in front of the mirror, take a deep breath in, and ask yourself, what would the version of me that has those aesthetical attributes that I want or is in the way that I want would feel, behave, think, and act? And whatever comes first into your mind, hold it as your truth. Then assume it. Once you're holding that glaze of your mirror, your reflection in the mirror, and hold it, assume it as truth. claim it into reality until your nervous system calms down and doesn't want to judge anymore. At the beginning, it might be hard. You might be tempted to judge yourself. Look at my under eye bag, look at my lips, look at my nose, look at my hair. I'm not good enough. All of those thoughts. Remember this when those negative thoughts start to appear. You are not your thoughts. You are the force that decides where attention goes. Let's repeat again. You are not your thoughts. You do not have to pay attention to those thoughts. You are the force that governs the attention. So you can let the thoughts come and you can let the thoughts go. What matters is where you place your attention. When the body doesn't pay attention to this judgment and these thoughts anymore, and the body starts to relax, holding the new story, holding the new assumption. Even if you don't believe in those affirmations at first, it doesn't matter, but just the fact that you're paying attention to them and letting the negative thoughts go, that is when the spell starts to enter. That is when the shift happens. It doesn't happen when the experience of people recognizing what you have assumed comes. It doesn't happen back in the future. It doesn't happen once you see the manifestation. You have to understand, you're shifting by assuming. You're shifting in that moment, and every single moment that you place that attention into the new script, that is a moment of shift. Nothing else. The rest is just a symptom, is a consequence of your assumption, is a consequence of your decision. And if you will do this consistently, which doesn't mean to put effort, consistency means you do it every day. 10 minutes a day. You do it every day. That is more important than do it 100 times in 2 days. You do it consistently, you will start noticing subtle shifts in your reality, which will be just a symptom of what you have done previously. Reality is a symptom of your assumption. It's not the opposite way around. And you will start notice people perceiving you in a different way. When you notice those subtle clues, you have to reinforce and tell yourself it's working. My glamour is working. That will reinforce it even more, and then it will actualize as your permanent reality, either through that physical change that you want to see in your body, and also as the perceptions of other people. Because at the end of the day, yes, you might want to change your physical body or your beauty for yourself. That's very possible. However, there is a philosopher, I think it was a French philosopher called Sartre. I'm sorry, my French is so bad. That said that actually we exist only through the perceptions of others. Others are our mirror. Our reality is our mirror. So yes, technically it's true. Many people want to change themselves because to please themselves, but we are always wanting to change ourselves also to have, so others can have a different perception of us. And so remember that because this is gonna work in my opinion, when you're gonna see that perception from others, reinforce it with the new script so it becomes your actual reality, and that affects the body as well. It all goes hand in hand. So in actuality, nothing has really changed, and that is why glamour means illusion. Like in reality, nothing has really changed, but because your frequency has changed, everything has to shift. So do this before you leave the house, and remember, don't try to be beautiful. You already are. True glamour isn't deceit. It's just brain and heart coordination. It's called coherence. It's when your inner script, your inner voice, and the outer form finally agree. So whisper this softly, like only yourselves can really hear this mantra and this affirmation. I am the vision I choose. My beliefs shape my reality. My presence is a spell that needs no permission. That is the real secret of Glamour Magic, the union of mysticism, spirituality, psychology, and coherence. You don't chase attention, you alter gravity. You don't ask to be seen, you decide to be. unforgettable. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe and hit the ring bell button so you always get notified every Friday when I post a new video about mysticism, spirituality, manifestation, and more. And for all my services, the description box is full of information for you guys. Just click down below. I'll see you guys also on Instagram, Onea Goddess. I love you, and I'll see you soon.